Hi, welcome to another episode of Fox Talks. Tonight we're joined by Katie Dolan. She's a preschool teacher at the Doyle School. So welcome, Katie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
What is it like to be a preschool teacher when you're working from home as opposed to with the kids every day? How's that going?
So it's definitely been interesting. It's been a learning curve for everybody. I never thought that I would have a job in which I worked from home. I just never envisioned this. And it's challenging because so much of what we do, especially with our youngest kids, is about social interactions, is about hands-on learning, and that's like what we're all about. So it was a hard switch to then transition to all virtual, all, in this kind of format, over Zoom, over video messaging, different things like that. And so many people are rightfully concerned about screen time for young kids. And now I feel like we've just kind of thrown that out the window out of necessity. We're in a crisis situation. Mm-hmm. But I do worry about that, like in the back of my mind, like, is this a lot of screen time for kids? And that they're missing out on that piece we're always trying for, that in-person interaction.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, if the parents are working throughout the day, you can't sit there and entertain the kid and read them a book. You're going to end up put them in front of the TV. Mm-hmm. Here's an iPad. Here's a video game, and it's something to distract them. I'm working from home and I'm on meetings with people.
Yep.
And ironically, like the head of my HR department was leading a work from home session, and two of her sons came running into her bedroom where she was live and had a Nerf fight behind her, and she couldn't get them to leave the room. And that was a meeting on how to work from home and avoiding distractions. And yet here she is, she's laughing. She's like, I don't know what to do.
Right. And that's just the reality of what, kind of everybody is facing right now. So I think my angle is trying to provide people with resources and ideas about if they are having screen time and things like that, what is the best, most productive use of that time, suggesting apps and websites, as well as offering live sessions with me and, other stuff, as well as giving suggestions for more hands-on stuff that people can easily do at home.
I would watch some of the science experiments you've been doing in your kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
I applaud you for the effort of it. I mean, I'm sure it's not something you ever envisioned you'd be doing in your life, is leading YouTube videos from your home for a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds. But here you are, and you're taking it in stride.
Right. And I think with that, one of my big things has been doing experiments with items you have in your house, since that's a big issue for a lot of people. People are trying not to go to the store. If you go to the store, they don't always have the items that you might need. So I try to stick to like really basic kitchen items, so that to show people that it's easy enough to do this type of stuff with your kids at home with little to no supplies.
Right. So are you reaching out to the kids individually? Is it through an app, or are you just picking up the phone? How are you connecting right now?
So in Wakefield, we're really lucky to have the Learn Anywhere program, which is for our entire district. And this, we were a little bit more prepared, I think, than some of our other counterparts in other districts and other states, because we have done a little bit of this distance learning on snow days, nothing to this scale, but we had a tiny bit of experience that really helped us. So I use an app called Class Dojo, which is basically like Facebook for schools. So it's all safe and everything. Only the parents of the kids in my class can see what I'm posting. Normally during the school year, I use that for communication or reminders. Hey, don't forget, Friday is show and tell. Make sure you bring something in. Or here's a picture of something fun we did in the classroom today. Now I've kind of switched to using that as a method for posting resources, ideas. We're working a lot as a school, like all together, and trying to push out the same information and assignments so that people kind of are getting a similar experience across the board. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also offering, which other teachers are too, opportunities to do live kind of Zooms and stuff with the kids, both in large group and small group formats. So that's interesting. That was, the first one that we had was quite the experience. I was up all night the night before worrying about how would this all go. But it went fine. The kids are just excited to see each other, and they've learned a lot, and so have I, in kind of that online etiquette. So I try to look at that as a positive for them, that they've gone at a very young age, like a crash course in what it's like to have an online meeting. And this is probably the way, of the world for them someday, not to this degree, but I'm sure as they get older, they're going to do that. So maybe that's good. Maybe they got a little bit of experience with that early on.
It's funny. I was having a Zoom meeting with an adult the other day, and they said, I've
Mhm.
never used Zoom before. And here you are with 4 and 5 year olds that are now more proficient than a lot of adults that I know and I work with.
Right. Yeah,
At a very young age.
it's fun. And I've learned a lot of tricks along the way. The mute button has become my friend.
Sure.
To facilitate that turn taking, I often have to mute the other kids to give everybody
Well, how many kids are in your class?
up to 16.
So if you had 16 kids on Zoom, I'll go in at once. So that'd be kind of
That would
hard
be a
to
lot.
follow.
I've also gotten great experiences. We've done some like whole school experiences where we've brought in kind of what normally would be considered like an enrichment program during the school year, but we've moved some of those to an online format. So we had one from Kid Casso, and then we had one from Roman Music Therapy, both in Wakefield. And those were both phenomenal. And I learned a lot too about the type of stuff that's engaging and fun for kids. But those were great experiences. So we're just trying to provide as much engagement for our kids as we can, and keep them learning and keep them curious, knowing that, things are limited right now. It's a hard time for them, and also trying to keep some sense of their normalcy, because this can be overwhelming and scary, like for little ones.
Now, I know April vacation was last week, but since it's kind of been a nonstop April vacation, was there anything going on at the school during that week except for Patriots Day, or was it kind of still a vacation week for those kids?
We kept that as a vacation week. Doug Lyons kind of had thought that we should keep to the calendar along in conjunction with the school committee. They decided to keep to the calendar and give everybody kind of a break, and then pick it back up this week, which I think was good. At first I was like, couldn't we just keep going? But I think everybody needed like a little bit of a break to do something different and then get back into their routine. Because I noticed that people seemed to come back this week like refreshed and ready to do more stuff.
How many hours do you think you're prepping now? So for your YouTube video, for example, and your Zoom sessions, you're staying up at night worrying. How I assume your prep is a lot different than it used to be. So how does it work now for you?
It's definitely different. I would say I'm probably spending about the same amount of time working and prepping that I used to be in the classroom. I think it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's more obviously computer based. There's not as much like time with the kids, but the time that I would have been spending interacting with kids, sometimes I'm spending that time prepping.
Yeah.
So I would say my overall like work week is probably the same amount of hours. It's just how that time is being used has changed, and as far as my videos that I make, sometimes they're quick and easy and they go, off without a hitch. One of the last ones I made, I think I recorded 3 times because I had like all sorts of difficulty.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. This is our third attempt making this video with the wonders of Zoom, so
Yeah, exactly.
I understand.
So you just kind of have to like
roll with it.
Yeah. And luckily everybody is experiencing a lot of the same challenges. So people are so understanding and, easygoing about all of this, I've found. I think people have been very like appreciative of any efforts that we've been doing from like the school side, and just, willing to work with us and do whatever they can on their end.
So what do you think, to look for like a bright spot in all this, what do you think a bright spot is with everything you're doing with the kids?
I think definitely a couple of bright spots. One has been, it's definitely forced me to kind of step outside my comfort zone and try some things that I maybe wouldn't have done. I'm taking an online graduate course right now also. Mm-hmm. And tonight we were talking about how this has given teachers a lot more time to collaborate. That maybe we don't always have that time during the school day because things are so busy and whatever, but this has really forced us to lean on each other and really work together. And then I would say from on the kid side, that extra family time, that just is invaluable. And even if it took a very sad and difficult situation in an event to cause it, my biggest hope is that families are trying to find some enjoyment in this time. And even if it's a little bit of extra time per day that they're getting together, that's really nice. I did a survey of my families, just checking in with them. And one of the things I said, like, name something good about what's been going on. And a lot of people said this bonus family time, that even if parents are working, if you normally get out of work at 5, then you still have a commute and, you have to pick up your child at childcare or whatever. But now at 5 o'clock when your workday ends, you're already home. So maybe you've gained a little time in your day. I really hope the weather gets nicer so people can get outside more. That would be a bonus.
I gotta say, that's like, with everything bad going on, when you have a rainy day, it just makes it so much worse.
So much worse.
So now, I'm taking multiple walks a day right now, and it's, if I was in the office, I would walk around and talk to people, or walk and get a drink, go out to lunch, things like that, where you're not just sitting at your desk all day. And now it's, not that you have to do this until now, but you've got to try and incorporate that aspect into your day.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to remember to do that on a day like what we've had the past couple of days where it rains, and then it's nice for a day and rains again. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And I know especially for people that are home with little ones, they need to get their energy out and run around. That's like really important for them. So the bad weather can make it challenging. At my school, everybody good-naturedly teases me that I'm very I'm not affected by the weather, because I will make every effort to get those kids outside, no matter what. And that's,
you got to burn off that energy. You don't want it in the room all day.
It's of mine. I always say I would rather take them out for 15 or 20 minutes, even if it's cool, or rainy or whatever. Like a little drizzle is fine. It's not going to hurt anybody. We do snow gear in the winter. Okay. Yeah, we do snow gear in the winter. It's just really important. So I think that people will really struggle less with this being home if there was nice weather.
So on your personal time, what have you been doing to kind of relax and de-stress from everything?
So on my April vacation week, last week, I really thought about it. I was like, what am I going to do, on a vacation week? I have all my typical things that I would do on a school vacation if I was going to go away, or maybe I would use that time, to get together with friends or whatever. So all my normal things were kind of off the table. So I really questioned what to do. So I used my free time to do some home improvement projects. So I did some painting and stuff like that. And it was kind of actually nice. That was stuff that I don't normally have time for. But I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of walking. So the usual stuff, just trying to keep busy and do what I can.
Are you doing a lot of Zoom meetings with friends or Facebook messages, some way to kind of stay in touch, visually as opposed to on the phone?
Yeah. So I keep in touch with, a group of friends that we typically on Friday nights will do a Zoom just to check in, see how everybody's doing. And that's been a nice thing. That's definitely something we would not have done outside of this pandemic. But that's been a good opportunity to kind of keep in touch with them, which has been good.
You try new things. That's all you can do.
Exactly.
When I log off for the day, I no longer have to use Zoom or Skype or things that I would at work. And now it's like, okay, who wants to play a game on Zoom? Because it's not just work anymore. It's now, it's now part of the daily life. And I think, I don't know what their stock price is at, but it must be doing great when everything else is going down.
I know.
All you hear about is Zoom at this point. So
exactly. It's interesting to hear people talk about the different platforms they use and the different, perks of each one.
I went with the classic dining room backdrop tonight. So I see you have a picture behind you. So very nice.
This is my dining room, actually. So that's been interesting. It's been an interesting kind of piece, all this Zoom that everyone's been doing. You feel like you're in people's houses.
Well, is there anything you'd like to say to your students who may be watching or their parents?
I think I would say keep up the great work. I think everybody, no matter what, is doing awesome. And for the parents, do not pressure yourself. You are doing an awesome job.
And I'm going to make sure we put a link up so people
Yep.
can check out some of the work you've been doing with your class.
Yes.
But if you want to remind them of your Instagram that has some of your work on it.
Yep. So my Instagram is Mrs. Dolan _203. And you can check me out there. There's also links to my YouTube videos and everything there for ideas.
And I would say, as someone who wouldn't normally be watching a preschool class, science experiments, but something to fill my time as well. So thank you for those efforts.
Yeah. So it's all about having
for us
fun.
older kids.
They're for everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Katie. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Bye.